Hello everyone, Treecks here and welcome back to Game & Watch Gallery. Sort of the finale today because we're covering the final game in Game & Watch Gallery, Oil Panic. It's not the official finale because I have planned to return next weekend one more time to actually try to get the 800 points in all the games where I didn't get it, playing it on easy and see if we can unlock the final couple of panels. And maybe also try to go for 1000 points at least one of the games. But when it comes to the general coverage of the games, this is going to be the final part, because we only have one more game to play. And this is probably the most interesting one of all, because I'm pretty sure what we now know as the Nintendo DS and Nintendo 3DS is actually based on the Game & Watch systems that had games like these. Are you ready to take a look at the very first dual screen Game & Watch game that we have seen? Let's get started. Oil Panic actually works like this. As you can see, we have two screens. Count them, two screens. And you thought the Nintendo DS was the one to actually invent that. No, in fact, the Nintendo DS actually based its design on these old Game & Watch games that actually had dual screen. And if you try to take a look at how these things looked, hardware-wise, you will see a lot of similarities. But okay, let's go talk about the game itself, because two screens or not. As you can see, we have an apartment over a gas station. And for some reason, the oil is actually leaking from our roof. Don't ask me how that works, but still. Because of living over a gas station, the people below us can actually use the gasoline that is leaking from our roof. As you can see, there's actually a person walking from left to right at the floor below us, and we actually need to make sure our little bucket, the moment it is full, we can actually ditch it to him. We can only carry up to 3 bars of gasoline, as you can see. 1 bar, 2 bars, and if another drop drops in, it's 3, and then it'll be full. If we try to grab another drop while the bucket is full, we get a miss. We actually spill our little bucket, and that will count as a miss. Similar to when we just missed the drop. That is of course also a miss. But also on the bottom screen we can actually miss, of course. The moment we don't hit our little friend down there, the pedestrians at the street level will get hit by our bucket of gasoline, and that will also count as a miss. However, it will be a different kind of miss. I will not be showing it off deliberately, because that will force me to get a miss on purpose, and that is something I do not plan on doing, but I'm not doubting it will happen at some point, because this dude down here will start running faster, and therefore it's going to be easier to miss him at some point, so I have no doubt it will happen at some point. But hopefully we'll be able to see that the fact that if we make a miss on our top screen, the one we're actually controlling, and the bottom screen, where the people are, those are different kinds of misses. They will actually have separate counters with them. As long as the game is not going too fast, I usually have no real troubles actually keeping track of this. Just like with the other games, this will get pretty hectic at some point. There's multiple drops at the same time that will drop at some point. And this guy down here, moving from left to right, will start moving faster and faster. Up to a point where it's pretty hard to actually get to him in time. Because as you can see, he will stay around. Okay, there's our first miss. The moment I was trying to talk about the fact that he actually stays around for a little bit, as you can see, he does not immediately move back to the other side the moment he reaches one of the edges. But even him staying around will get shorter the further we get. And yeah, the moment you're not able to hit him, the moment you miss him, that he's not around, the moment you hang out of your windows, one of the people on the street level will get hit, and that will count as a bottom screen miss. As you can see, the miss is on the bottom screen. And that is not there for nothing, because our top screen will have a separate counter for misses. And I'm not really sure how the 1-up system works here. There should be a system where if you are able to get a star and at the same time don't get the miss in those 100 points, you normally get the 1-up, of course, but I'm not too sure how it works here. If it actually cancels one of your bottom screen or top screen misses. Or that it just goes randomly. I'm not too sure how it works here. But perhaps we'll get a chance to see it. But hopefully not. Because I can quickly address, you can kind of see it already by the way this works. I think of all the classic games in this first Game & Watch Gallery series, I think this is by far the easiest one to actually get a high score. Oil Panic, in its classical form, is the most easy classical game, I think. And it's mostly because of the fact that these drops actually only appear one at a time, as you can see. The game mostly gets its difficulty from the fact that you need to be at the correct window the moment you fill your bucket. Kind of like here. That's pretty much where the most difficulty comes from. Just catching the drops, not really that difficult. That definitely becomes most tricky in the modern variant, which we'll see after this one. At least, assuming this one is not going to take half an hour. But okay, we reach a 100 point mark without a miss, so our miss got cancelled. In this case we only had one, so it was only able to cancel our bottom screen miss. If we would have had one on the top screen, I'm not too sure if that one would have been cancelled or just randomly picked one. I can't help you on that information. Okay, let's go talk about the scoring systems, also something I can still talk about. As you can see, every drop we catch is 1 point, and the moment we ditch those drops, empty our little bucket, and then we also receive more points. And it's 1 point per drop. As you can see, 2 points if we throw 2 of them in. However, if we fill our bucket entirely and then ditch it, we actually receive 5 points instead of 3. So there is a bonus for filling out your bucket entirely and therefore running the risk of not being able to catch another drop. You actually have to empty your little bucket before you're able to grab another drop again. And the game will reward you for that by giving you 2 additional points. And therefore the best way to efficiently... I wasn't done yet. Can't you see I'm still hanging outside of my window? But okay, now we have our first top screen miss. Because apparently I was too slow. I did see that drop coming, but I wasn't done emptying my bucket yet. It's also something you can see. The moment we empty our bucket, the screen does stop for a little bit, but it will start advancing before we're actually back in the room again. So if the next drop is close to falling to the ground, you do run a risk. Because as you can see, the drop will start advancing again before you're back in the room. As you can see here. And that's kind of what happened there. But okay, that's everything I could say information-wise about this game. Okay, before I actually decided to do this as a Let's Play, I didn't think I would be able to talk information-wise more than 10 minutes about a simple game like this. But apparently I'm able to do so. But now it is time for the first time to actually score 4 stars and unlock the entire gallery in a classical game. Something I have not been able to do a single time yet. In that sense, I think the games in Game & Watch Gallery 2 are easier in the classical variant. Most of all Vermin. I really love playing Vermin in Game & Watch Gallery 2. It's by far my favorite classical Game & Watch game in all of the Game & Watch galleries. If I'm able to do something nice, it's going to happen there. This one is fun to do, but luckily also pretty easy, and that's the most important thing. The difficulty definitely determines your chances of success the most. Because I might be misremembering, but I was pretty sure that even in this classical variant, multiple drops at the same time would start appearing at some point, but we're pretty far into this game already and it still has not happened yet, so apparently that only happens on modern. You will see why that happens on modern in a minute. Because in modern there's definitely something present that makes this game insanely difficult compared to this classical one. This one is definitely a lot easier than I remembered. I was sure that multiple drops would start appearing at the same time, but apparently it's one drop at a time for the entire thing. But okay, that said, I am at 2 misses at the top screen right now. This does not mean that the next miss is immediately going to be a game over. Only if I miss at the top screen again I will get the game over. This is the only game where you can actually officially fail up to 5 times. Because I have 2 top screen misses, but I still have 0 on the bottom screen. So if I miss my greedy friend down there who wants some free oil, then it will count as a bottom screen miss, and that will not give me a game over. Only if you get 3 of them on the same screen, only then it will be a game over. But currently I seem to be having a lot more trouble with the top screen, so the fact that I still have some margin on the bottom screen is not really helping me. The oil drops will start falling faster and faster. Because I'm pretty sure that's the story behind this, and never really talked about this, but the story here is, I'm pretty sure that we are living in this apartment over here that for some reason starts leaking oil or gasoline. And the guy below us is actually the owner of the gas station, and he is using our little leak in the roof to get some free gas for his station. I'm pretty sure that's the story here. That's the reason why he's running around with this oil drum. We don't want to spill it on the heads of these people. Ooh. Okay, I'm surprised it was a time. Okay, we didn't get the cancel over miss. We didn't get the 1-up. Despite us reaching 700, so... Ooh, just in time. Even though that one I could have permitted myself. But still, I want those 800 points, finally. A classical game where I unlock the entire gallery. 50 more, let's go. Ooh! Why are these final couple of points always panic mode? Okay, I'm gonna wait for him to go back right. 15 more, come on. Okay, there we go. Relief. A classical Game & Watch game. Oh, oops. I don't know why, but for some reason my concentration is gone. But okay, let's try finishing that story. A classical Game & Watch game, finally. Where we receive 800 points. And now, let's make sure we get 1000 points as well. I did promise I would try to go for 1000 points in one of these games at least once. Would be unexpected that I do it in a classic game. The variants that gave me the most trouble so far, but I'm not going to reach it if I start doing stuff like this. Okay, this time I definitely am in the danger zone. 2 misses on the top screen and the bottom screen. So now I'm completely out of margin. It does not matter how I miss, but my next miss is going to be a game over no matter what. Unless the game is lenient and will give me a 1-up once I reach 900, but I doubt that because I missed during this sequence of 100. And never mind, I'm not reaching 900. Okay, another attempt of reaching 1000 down the drain. But at least we finally have 2 panels open on the classical side. Something we weren't expecting anymore. And this time around, I think the modern variant is a lot harder than this one, so luckily I did it here. But anyway, time for a gallery show off. Let's go see what we have. Also, one of the older Game & Watch games that ever released, Lion. Released on April 1981 as part of the Gold series, where we try to keep lions in their cage. Also something you might know from Super Smash Bros., Brawl, and onwards, because this was also a part of Flat Zone 2. And the next one is one of the more recent ones. Although recent, it's still from 84, but still. The very first of the Versus series, a multiplayer Game & Watch game, where you try to KO your opponent using punches. Yeah, even Game & Watch actually went multiplayer at some point. But anyway, we are playing single player. And after the awesome 896 that we got on Classic here, I am not going to assume the Modern is going to give me that, because this one is a lot more difficult. So far, all of the more modern variants were the easier ones. I absolutely don't think that is the case here. Because look at Mario at the top screen. Unlike the classic variant, we actually have 2 buckets here. And that is a lot more difficult actually keeping track of. We can switch them around with pressing the A button, as you can see. And similar to the classic variant, if we fill the buckets entirely, up to 3 bars, we can feed it to Yoshi, which is our gas station owner this time around. Not sure why Yoshi's eating oil here. I'm not too sure if that is healthy for him, but still. He is our quote-unquote gas station owner this time around. And similar, if we feed him a full bucket, we will receive bonus points. And not if we do it when it's not entirely filled. But anyway, because of the fact that we have 2 buckets to actually keep track of, and also the fact that we can switch them, and that makes this game a lot more difficult to actually keep track of everything that is happening. Oh, oops. That clearly wasn't what I was going for. But yeah, it does prove my point a little bit. Because of the fact that we need to take a look at 2 buckets now, and the fact that because of that, unlike in the classical variant, here we do have multiple drops that actually drop from the ceiling at the same time. The multitasking here is usually what gets me here. Usually there's so many things that we need to keep track of here that I usually end up making silly mistakes here. So I wouldn't be surprised that even the 200 points I wouldn't be able to reach here. But at least we have a much more clear story of where the oil is coming from this time around. As you can see, the building we're on top of, there's this big Bowser machine. I'm going to assume it's some kind of tank or something. And that is actually leaking its oil. And Yoshi here is a way to get rid of it. Unless we are stupid enough to make it fall to the floor. But anyway, similar to the classical variant, we also have 2 different ways to miss here, as you can see. Spilling it over the poor innocent people on the ground, in this case Donkey Kong Jr. and Luigi. Or just by making it fall to the floor. Which will get depicted as a flame miss, as you can see. The flame symbol at the top. And that is actually the top screen miss here. Okay, we're reaching 100 now. Let's see how far we can get here. Okay, another thing that is pretty handy. Even if we start leaning outside of our window, as you can see here, the other bucket is still inside of the room. One of the few plus sides compared to the classical variant. Even though the two buckets do make it a little bit more complicated, it also makes it easier in one sense. Because of the fact that if we lean out of our window to empty our bucket in Yoshi's mouth, we still have a way to actually catch drops, because the other bucket will actually stay inside of the room. Mario will only lean out with the bucket that you're actually holding outside. The other one will stay inside. And you can still use to actually catch a drop that is falling close to the window. That's one of the plus sides. That does not take away the fact that I'm clearly having a lot more trouble with this variant in comparison to the original one. Thank you. Leaning outside of the window, I'm still able to catch another drop. Multitasking at its finest. Okay, I'm getting a feeling that it's getting faster now. Okay, let's go for that 1 star at least. That much I do want to get here. I can't permit myself another oil stain on the floor here, so... Oh, oops. Sorry, Luigi. I wasn't paying attention. It was a little bit too much to actually pay attention to. 2 buckets I'm holding. 2 drops that drop from the ceiling at the same time. I need to look where Yoshi is, and at the same time I'm also still talking. And keeping an eye out on my capture card, seeing if it is still recording. 5 things at once. Excuse me that I sometimes screw up, Luigi. Okay, thank you for that 1-up. Oh, you still need to catch it. But that is how the 1-ups work here, as you can see. The moment to reach 200 points, a block will spawn, and if Yoshi destroys the block by breathing its fire onto it, 1-up will pop out. These other blocks that can spawn, like the one that's on top of DK Jr., actually take a little bit more work to actually break open. But I'm pretty sure even those we can break open. This requires more than 1 fire breath. Another plus side, I'm just realizing I didn't talk about that quite yet, but unlike the classical variant where our busy, greedy gas station owner was catching our oil with a bucket, he had to be on the edge, otherwise he would miss. In Yoshi's situation that is not the case. Because of Yoshi's long tongue, even if he's not at the edge of the castle yet, he can still grab the oil. Try to show it off here. As you can see, Yoshi's not entirely at the edge yet, and he's still able to lick up our oil. Of course, there's a limit. If he's not past the halfway point of the castle yet, then of course he can't reach it. As long as this guy's tongue may be, it's not that long. It doesn't need to be close enough to the edge that he can actually reach it. Oh, whoops. Wanted to hang out at the window. I tried to grab the oil drop all the way to the right, but apparently I pressed right a little bit too much. And the game thought I wanted to empty my bucket. But of course it didn't want to do that. But anyway, it did give me a game over. At 285. This is going to be hell, trying to unlock the entire gallery. Hopefully this one is a lot easier on easy. But anyway, let's see how we did. 5 stars, not as much as Octopus, but better than Manhole and Fire, so a good second place when it comes to the high scores on Oil Panic for me. 1 star on Modern and 4 on Classic. Unfortunately, I cannot cover any of the galleries now, because 285 points are obviously not enough to unlock even a single one of those. So unfortunately this is already it. I hope this was fun and most of all informative show off of the first Game & Watch Gallery game, where old, handheld Nintendo games were shown off in a little bit more of a modern variant, combined with Mario characters. And of course this is not going to be the entire project yet. Next weekend I will try to make a quote-unquote bonus episode, which I will still call finale, and try to unlock the rest of the gallery, and also try to find a game where I have the biggest chance of actually scoring 1000 points, so I can also show off the unlocking of the very hard mode, or super hard, or whatever it's called. So next weekend one more episode, where I will try to play on easy, and see if I can score 800 points on the games where I wasn't able to do so. Most of all, Oil Panic on modern, and Manhole on classic. Definitely the hardest ones to do, I feel. So, one more episode, and Game & Watch Gallery I can consider closed. See you folks next weekend, when I hopefully return. In the upcoming week I will try to see what I can do on easy mode, and see what more we can unlock. This has been the main coverage of Game & Watch Gallery, but still one more episode to go. See you folks next time, and Treecks out.